Have you ever wondered how a beloved classic could turn into one of the most controversial live-action remakes of all time? The Walt Disney Company, known for its strong stance on creative direction and adherence to modern ideological trends, has found itself at the center of immense backlash due to its upcoming adaptation of Snow White, set for release in 2025. Led by CEO Bob Iger and a board of directors who appear unwavering in their commitment to the current corporate vision, Disney's insistence on reimagining their animated classics has caused considerable division among audiences and longtime fans. One of the most criticized projects from Disney's latest lineup is Snow White 2025, starring Rachel Zegler. From the moment the casting was announced, the film has been met with skepticism and, in some cases, outright rejection. A significant portion of the backlash stems not just from the changes made to the classic story but also from Zegler's own comments during promotional interviews. Many viewers have found her statements regarding the film to be condescending, dismissing the original animated film and its legacy in favor of a modernized reinterpretation that distances itself from its roots. The marketing campaign for Snow White 2025 has only added fuel to the fire. 2 official trailers have been released, both receiving overwhelmingly negative feedback. Fans of the original 1937 film, as well as the general public, have voiced their dissatisfaction, with many questioning Disney's motives behind the drastic changes. The response has been so severe that even longtime Disney supporters are turning away from the project, choosing instead to boycott the film and denounce it as a misguided attempt to modernize a story that, in their eyes, needed no major alterations. As Disney scrambles to manage the growing damage to the film's reputation, Rachel Zegler has taken a defensive stance against the backlash. Rather than acknowledging the concerns of fans and critics, she has doubled down on her perspective, attributing the negativity to what she believes is a politically motivated agenda. In a recent statement, Zegler claimed that much of the criticism aimed at the film and her performance originates from a toxic place, specifically from male audiences who, in her words, do not deserve to critique a movie centered on strong female characters. According to Zegler, Snow White 2025 is more than just a film. It is a statement about the power of women and the importance of reshaping old narratives to better fit contemporary values. She elaborated further, explaining that the film's core message is about saving society through new interpretations of classic characters. The decision to deviate from the Brothers Grimm story and the 1937 animated film was intentional, as she and the filmmakers believed that retelling the same story would be redundant and uninspired. While some audiences may appreciate this fresh approach, many others argue that these changes strip the film of its original charm and historical significance. Instead of embracing its origins, the remake appears to reject them entirely, alienating the very fans who made Snow White a household name in the first place. One of the most contentious elements of Zegler's comments is her claim that people are celebrating the film's negative reception. She expressed frustration that critics and audiences alike are taking joy in the backlash, rather than giving the film a fair chance. Furthermore, she insinuated that these critics would ultimately watch the movie anyway, making their complaints hypocritical. However, based on early audience reactions and social media trends, it appears that many people are genuinely planning to avoid the film altogether, reinforcing the growing call for a boycott. Adding to the controversy, Zegler went as far as to call out parents who have chosen to boycott Snow White 2025, accusing them of depriving their children of a magical and important story. Her remarks have only further divided audiences, with some seeing them as out of touch and dismissive of legitimate concerns. Many parents who have grown up with the original Snow White believe that this remake does not capture the same essence and magic, and they feel justified in choosing not to support a film that, in their view, disrespects the original. At the heart of this controversy is the broader issue of Disney's current trajectory in the film industry. The company has faced declining box office returns in recent years, with several of its live-action remakes failing to generate the same level of enthusiasm as their animated predecessors. Critics argue that Disney's reliance on ideological messaging and drastic reimaginings is alienating its core audience, leading to diminishing returns. Snow White 2025 is shaping up to be yet another example of this trend, as negative press continues to overshadow any attempts at generating positive buzz. Despite the criticism, Disney remains committed to its vision, and Zegler has continued to stand by the film. However, as the release date approaches, it remains to be seen whether Snow White 2025 will be able to overcome the overwhelming negativity surrounding it. Will Disney's gamble pay off, or will this film serve as yet another cautionary tale about the risks of straying too far from beloved classics? Only time will tell, but for now, the controversy surrounding Snow White 2025 shows no signs of fading away. Is Snow White 2025 doomed before it even hits theaters? The online backlash surrounding the film has been nothing short of overwhelming, with criticism flooding social media platforms. The reception to the film has been largely negative, spanning across all forms of online discourse. In fact, both trailers have been met with unprecedented disdain, receiving historic levels of negative feedback for a Disney live-action project. The teaser and the full-length trailer have been universally rejected, not just by Disney fans but also by general audiences who have been drawn into the controversy surrounding Snow White 2025. One thing is undeniable: this movie carries a strong agenda. Rachel Zegler herself has repeatedly confirmed this in her statements, making it clear that Snow White 2025 is intended to push a specific message. According to her, the film is about saving society and tackling real-world issues. This narrative has been emphasized in multiple interviews, where she has reinforced the idea that the traditional story needed to be abandoned in favor of a modern retelling. By completely disregarding the classic 1937 film and the Brothers Grimm fairy tale, Disney has removed the core elements that made Snow White an enduring classic. This decision has left many fans frustrated and convinced that the movie is destined to fail at the box office. It may even suffer a fate similar to the Star Wars series The Acolyte, which debuted in the summer of 2024 to disastrous reviews and lackluster performance. Zegler has continued to defend the film, insisting that it is crucial for younger audiences to see this new version of Snow White. She has expressed frustration over parents who have chosen to boycott the film, attributing their decisions to misinformation, political bias, and social media toxicity. In her view, parents who oppose the movie are misguided and failing to recognize the importance of its themes. According to her, Snow White 2025 is meant to redefine what it means to be a modern woman, particularly in a turbulent era like 2025. Despite Zegler's confidence, the reality remains that online criticism is not merely a vocal minority, it represents a widespread rejection of the film's direction. Many people, including longtime Disney fans, feel alienated by the drastic changes being made to a beloved classic. The skepticism surrounding the movie has only grown, with increasing numbers of fans and casual viewers choosing to distance themselves from it entirely. Disney and Zegler are now in full damage control mode, doing everything possible to convince audiences that this movie will be a success. However, deep down, they likely realize the difficult reality they are facing. If Snow White 2025 flops at the box office, it could have severe consequences for future live-action adaptations. Projects like The Sword in the Stone and Hercules, which are currently in development, could be put on indefinite hold. Disney has reportedly held multiple emergency meetings to discuss the potential fallout from Snow White 2025's failure. If the film performs as poorly as many anticipate, it might prompt the studio to reconsider its approach to live-action remakes entirely. Another significant factor in the growing backlash is the wave of parodies emerging in response to Snow White 2025. Many of these parodies highlight the absurdity of the changes made to the story and the film's emphasis on contemporary political themes. As more clips from the movie are released in the coming days, Disney can expect further ridicule and criticism. It is highly likely that the backlash will only intensify as people get a clearer look at what the final product has to offer. The controversy surrounding the film is also tied to Disney's broader commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI). Many critics argue that Disney is prioritizing ideological messaging over storytelling, leading to subpar films that fail to resonate with audiences. While the studio insists that its approach is necessary and meaningful, the declining reception of its recent projects suggests otherwise. The fact that Snow White 2025 has been met with such widespread resistance indicates that audiences are growing weary of heavy-handed messaging in entertainment. Ultimately, the fate of Snow White 2025 will be determined by its performance at the box office. If audiences reject the film in theaters as they have online, it could mark a turning point for Disney's live-action strategy. For now, all signs point to a major financial and reputational disaster for the studio. What do you think about Rachel Zegler's stance on the backlash? Do you believe Snow White 2025 will be a success, or is it destined to fail? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to support the channel. See you next time.